Welcome, Rosendo from MLH here. It is Global Hack Week season launch, and we are currently wrapping up day 3. So welcome once again to the event, everyone out there in Global Hack Week land. We have an exciting group of folks coming to you today from Civic. We are going to learn about authentication, adding it to your app in 5 minutes with Civic Auth, and also all things authentication. If you have questions in the chat, definitely drop them into the comment section. We're going to be doing Q&A throughout the presentation itself. If you want to get registered and checked in, make sure you do so at the link here. I'm dropping that into the comment section as we speak. So for the folks on Twitch and the folks on YouTube, please go in and click in and make sure that you are properly registered. In the meanwhile, let me know where y'all are from. This is Global Hack Week, as I mentioned earlier, so I know that folks are joining from all over the globe. Rosendo from MLH here once again. If you have any questions throughout the chat, throughout the workshop, make sure you drop them in there, and I'll be taking a look at them myself. And really, without any further ado, really excited to be bringing up 2 folks from Civic today. We're going to have JP and Tyrone joining us, so please give them a warm welcome, y'all.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
So do we give him a couple minutes to start, or shall we get going, Ty?
I think we can get going.
Yeah, feel free to jump right in, folks.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. I'm JP Bedoya. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Civic. So at Civic, we've built an auth solution that will enable you to be up and running with your app in 5 minutes. And what's great also about it that it should be up and running in just 5 minutes or less. And we have Ty here from a DevRel engineering team who will show you how to do that. So Ty, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so I've been with Civic for about 7 years now, originally from South Africa, living in Texas right now. And started out as a software engineer, moved into a Web3 role now, focusing on DevRel. And I'm excited to show you exactly what we can do in less than 5 minutes.
Amazing. And like I said, I'm the Chief Product Officer at Civic. I've also been at Civic for a little while. I'm responsible for product and design at Civic. So anything user experience, anything about road mapping to what's coming up in our roadmap. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. So let's get going. A little bit about Civic, you guys. Civic has been around for a little while. We started our journey in the identity space, building a decentralized identity wallet that over the years evolved to our current product today, about enabling your apps to have the best authentication infrastructure it can have. So we've built a framework from the ground up that will help you bring all the different auth components to your applications, and not just your traditional apps, but also it's for AI or agentic apps too. So we'll talk a little bit about that on how you can start thinking about using Civic with all different kinds of applications. So what is Civic Auth? So Civic Auth is a flexible single sign-on solution, right? It enables you to have passwordless authentication with your end users via email, Google, X, and whatnot. And pretty soon, we're going to be adding support for Passkey, Microsoft, and also crypto wallets. So you'll be able to bring in users that want to identify themselves with their crypto wallets. That's becoming more and more mainstream over the next few months. The UI is customizable, so you can design the login flow however you want. It has a really nice editor that you can use, and you're able to preview all the changes. It's a multiple framework support, so pretty much whatever you're using on the back end and the front end to work, we should be able to support it. Currently, we support React, React Native, Next.js, Node.js, etc. We're fully compliant with OIDC and OAuth 2.0 plus. So that also makes it really powerful to bring in additional components. What's also really great, it's budget friendly. So today we give you 15,000 free monthly active users, and then it's 2.5 cents per additional MAU. And like we were saying, it's super easy to set up. In 5 minutes, you should be up and running. So we'll show you how we do that in a minute. If you are building a Web3 application, so one that requires wallets to work, we also provide that embedded wallet functionality. So our product currently supports EVM and Solana non-custodial wallets. So that means that you wouldn't have custody of your user funds. They will be always in control, but in a very easy way to do it. No seed phrase, nothing for them to remember. They just link it to their email address, their Google account, and they'll be up and running. The technology that we use is made for durability. So if Civic is no longer here, or you're no longer here, and your users want to recover any kind of assets that they may have stored in those digital wallets, there is a process that should last for over 100 years. And of course, if you're building a Web3 app or have an existing Web3 app, you can add social logins to it. You see an example there. If this is an example with the Solana wallets, but just using the existing wallet adapters, you would be able to bring in social logins. So nothing needs to be changed to your existing Web3 dApp. So far, we've been live for a few months actually with this new product this year, and we're getting some really good feedback from builders like you. So they've built it in games, they've built it with RWAs. One of my favorite quotes is super easy for users to authenticate and get embedded wallets. So it's one of those pieces that you want to make sure that you get right from the get-go, right? Auth is so important to the entry into your app, that making that choice needs to be something that you are comfortable with, and this is why we're here for. So without further ado, I don't want to steal too much of Ty's time, but what you're going to see will be how you will deploy in 5 minutes. There's going to be a few more things, that then customization and things that you will be able to do in other parts of the framework that Ty will show you. But sign up for a Civic Auth. So just go to auth.civic.com if you want to follow along. Just go there so you can sign up for your account. Then you'll install the library, and then you'll just wrap it up inside your app and put your client ID. So why don't you take it away, Ty?
Awesome. Thanks, JP. That was awesome. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly. I'm going to share my entire screen, and we're going to take you through creating an application from scratch and adding Civic Auth in less than 5 minutes. So let me just quickly take you through the docs here. We've got extensible docs. We support multiple different frameworks, technologies, back-end, front-end. We support mainly Pixie. Also, we support client secrets and Pixie plus client secrets on the back-end. So you basically can do anything authentication-wise using our Civic docs. And I am going to actually specifically focus on Next.js here. And we're going to run through taking a brand new Next.js app and adding Civic Auth on top of that. That'll be the first part of the demo. And the second part of the demo, we're going to get a little bit more exciting. We're going to actually add authentication to a conversational AI. And I think you guys will find that pretty interesting. The one thing I did want to highlight here is we've also got, I know one of the challenges is MCP focus. We're not going to be doing that in the demo today. There's a great video out there with our CTO where he goes into it in detail. But there's a guide on here, and you guys can follow, and there's a repo as well that we'll link for you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's start with the Next.js application, and I'm going to quickly run into my terminal, and I'm just going to run the command from npx that just creates an application, and I'm just going to set up the defaults for you guys so we can run quite quickly. And while that's setting up there, I am going to go in and grab my client ID. So the first thing that you need to do when you're setting up your Civic Auth application is come to the URL auth.civic.com. You'll be prompted to log in, and once you log in, you'll be taken up to an integration page that will tell you exactly how to set up your application. So let me show you how that works. Once I've logged in, I'm going to be taken to the page that shows my users here. So one thing you have to note is that since I've logged in before, it's not taking me directly to the integration page. It's just showing me all the people that have logged into an application that I've created. But for first-time users, if you're logging in for the first time, you'll be brought to this page, and it will tell you exactly all the different steps you need to do in order to get your app up and running. We also support multiple different applications. I'm going to quickly switch to this demo application, and you can see my client ID changed. So I'm going to stay on this page. You can either stay here and follow the documentation directly on this page, which is what I'm going to do, or you can go in here and dig a little bit deeper. But I'm going to be staying on here, and we're going to talk about actually creating an application. So let's see, it's done. Let's run this app first to show you what it looks like. It's just a blank app that is running, and it's just set up all the boilerplate code for us. So if we open up this, you'll see an Next.js application. No authentication is added, but that's the exciting part that we're going to get to next. So let's go back to our terminal and let's open this up in our IDE. I'm going to use Cursor for this. And we're not going to use any of the AI right now. We will get it to do a little bit more boilerplate code for us as we go along. But I just kind of want to take you through step by step on how to add authentication to your application. So you'll notice we've got this next config here. And you'll notice that when we come to our instructions on the auth dashboard, it tells us to add this first to our next configuration. So I'm going to just copy that, and it includes my Civic client ID there already. And I'm just going to replace it in here. And the one thing you'll notice is that it is not finding the import. So we have, since it's a brand new application, we have to add Civic first. So like JP showed in that slide, we're just going to add Civic Auth, and it's going to install the dependency. Since we specifically working with Next.js, you'll notice that the namespace is /Next.js. And cool, so now we've got that installed. Let's move on to the next part. We need to create this specific route, this catch-all route. This route tells the SDK in order to how to handle the Pixie flow. You don't need to worry about it. All you need to do is just add this route, and we handle everything behind the scenes. So I'm just going to ask the LLM, hey, do you mind creating this route for me? And let's make sure I copied it. And let it create it in the background. While it's doing that, we can move on to the next step, and that is just basically setting up the middleware. And this middleware is just basically intercepting all the requests that are coming through to make sure that the routes are secure. So you don't have to manually add code to each of your routes that you want to protect. It's going to be caught all by this auth middleware. And I'll go into this a little bit more detail as I demo. So let's add this middleware.ts file. And we are going to save that. I don't know why it wants to search this. Sorry. Creates the, come on, Claude. Okay, cool, it's creating it for me. And so once it's created that for me, then the last thing we need to do is create the Civic Auth provider. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go to our page, our layout here, and I'm going to add this Civic Auth provider. And it imports there. So now Civic Auth has been set up. It's actually created this route in the wrong place. Wait, is it API /auth? Just want to make sure that it's correct. App API auth, and then the catch-all. Cool. So it set that up to us. All we have to do is just copy this code into here, and we are away. Perfect. So now that route's been set up, everything's been set up correctly, but there isn't a button for a user to log in, right? So luckily, we've created that component for you, and I am going to add it here. This allows the user to quickly log in and log out. So if we come to the code at the top here, you can see that we specifically had deploy. Now we're just going to add a user button that is coming from our SDK. Perfect. We can start running this and seeing what this does. Okay, cool. So we've got the sign in button now. And if I click in, I can log in. So that was less than 5 minutes, I think, which is cool. But I want to just go to the dashboard and talk about what JP spoke about there. And if we go into our login options here, you can see that we can customize it based on our needs. So I can add email address if I want to, GitHub, all different social SSO providers that you would like to have. This silly thing keeps hiding my save button here, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to save it like that. And then I'm going to keep my full screen there. And then it's saved. And then if I come back into my application, you should be able to see those other SSO providers as well. So great. You can customize it, add your own logo, do a bunch of stuff that you need to do. So now once I log in, I'm authenticated, but what do you do at this point? Like, okay, cool, I'm logged in. I want to secure a page. I want to do something. It's not much useful to me. So let's go and actually do that. Let's just create a simple admin page that's going to show the username, their name, the email address, and a bunch of personal information, PII. I'm gonna ask Claude to do that for me here, just to save time. Do you mind creating a page at admin / page.tsx that includes stub user data like the logged in user's name and email. I will implement the functionality. Okay, cool. So it's going to go and create this admin page for us. And then once you try access that page, it's going to refuse you to access that page because of the way the middleware is set up. And I told you we're going to come back to the middleware. But basically, if we come back to the middleware, it's saying, make sure that all the routes that get intercepted by here are going to make sure that the user is actually authenticated. And we do all of that behind the scenes, except for obviously these. We want to make sure that you're showing your images, your robot.txx sitemap. So this is all customizable. And I'm going to show you what that means in a bit shortly. Okay. So now if we go here, admin page, it's got John Doe, it's got a bunch of information, and I'm going to show you how we can grab our user data from that. So if I come /admin, it's redirecting me back to the login app because it's being intercepted by middleware. So if I just remove all this code and I go /admin, I should be able to see that page. Cool, so that's working. So you can either do that, or you can say just protect the specific page, and this page will be protected, and it redirects you back to the login. So your login doesn't have to live at the roots. We offer a bunch of configuration that you can implement and change. So right now I'm just doing the bare bones just to get you up and set. But if you want to get a little bit more in depth, that obviously your app is a little bit more tailored to your like your login page isn't on the root page, then please come to the docs and dig in. Okay, cool. So now if I sign in, I then should be able to go to that admin page. Cool. And the last thing we'll do here is just like fold in this data. So we can go const user equals get user. And we don't need that because we've already got a user. And then we can say name is yeah, I'm just going to show that information there, and then we can get rid of this info. This code that was generated for us. Seems like I got there. Yeah. Okay. Sure, everything's all good. And then if I refresh, and you can see it's got my information from here. So that is the first part of the app. Just showing you how quickly it is for you to add Civic Auth, get the individual user's data, do information with it. We also can get the user tokens if you need the access tokens, the identity token, basically anything that you guys need of traditional OAuth. And that's about that. So I want to kind of like get into more of like a vibe coding stage. That was pretty quick, so I'm going to move on to the next demo. Let's just kill this server here. And I am going to open up this app here called Hello Civic. And let's talk through this. So this is going to be open sourced, but basically it is a way for you to come in and authenticate with Civic and protect your API endpoint. So how the OpenAI API works currently right now is you can access it using your API key, but there's also a way to access it using an ephemeral session token, which means that you don't have to proxy everything through your backend. You can do everything on your front end, but just get a session token for a short duration of time, which means that then you don't have to expose your API key on the front end. You can still keep it on the back end, get an ephemeral token, and then use that on the front end in order to access. And what I'm going to show you is just how to do that, because I know that was quite a lot. So we're going to go into this, into Hello Chat. And I am going to just show you it working here. Okay, cool. So this is actually using OpenAI's real-time API to connect. In order to have a real-time conversation with the AI. So you're not going to be able to hear me right now, but I'm going to ask Rosido to change to the tab so you can hear me having a conversation with the chat AI agent. But we'll do that at the end, just not to kind of like kill the flow of the demo. But if you see here, you won't be able to hear this, but I'm speaking to the AI. Hi, how are you doing? You're a demo. Would you like to introduce yourself? Obviously, you're not going to be able to hear that, but. And it's talking right there. Okay, cool. So that's pretty awesome. We've got this, but the biggest problem with this right now is that how do you protect this endpoint? So anyone that's coming in here is going to be consuming all your tokens. So you want some sort of mechanism to protect that endpoint and have users log in and give them a session token. So you could do things like managing the amount of tokens that they're using, or limiting access to certain people, getting them to pay, whatever. The world is your oyster there. So before doing that, I just want to show you what is involved. So we've got two endpoints that when you tap the button connect, it's going to call this endpoint and it's going to return success true, and then it's going to talk to them. But initially what it's going to try first do is try get a session token. And this is the most important part, because we're protecting our open API key here, and this is on the back end, it's not on the front end. And all we're doing is we're getting the session token, and then we're connecting to the OpenAI service via the front end, which means that we don't have to set up any complicated WebRTC proxies from the back end. We can connect, OpenAI can handle all the infrastructure for us. And we also don't, especially in a real-time API, you don't want to worry about latency because you want the conversation to be smooth. So I'm not going to go and open, but my open API key is in that env.local, so that's where you would store it. And right now, let's talk about actually protecting this. So if I go to, same thing we're going to do is we're going to go ppm add Civic Auth. Civic Auth has been added there, right? So let's run through those steps again. We first have to go to our dashboard. We could create a new app, but I'm going to stay on the same application. And I'm going to go here, and we're going to just copy these same things from the Next.js application. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to go into our Next.js config. We're going to replace that here. You also want to probably put this in your process.env, like I mentioned, but if I open it, you're going to see my client secret. So we're going to leave that all there. Okay, so once we've got that done, we're going to go ask Claude, can you create this route again? Can you create the following route for us? Let's see, no code. I'll enter the implementation. Okay, cool. While it does that, let's go in and set up our middleware. Okay, so we've set up our middleware there. That router has been created. Let's go and add the implementation there. And we're done there. And what else was there to do? Oh, yes. We always have to add our provider. So we'll come to our Civic provider here. And let's add our provider. Claude knows me well. Okay, everything's added. And then we go to the page here. So we only want to kind of launch this component once we've got a logged in user. So what we can do here is get that whole get user again. Move that. And then we can say, yep. So if there is a user, launch that component. If there isn't, let's show our user button so the user can log in. Come on. Come on. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Not destructuring it, and I shouldn't be. Okay, great. So right now we're basically saying if the user isn't logged in, show the voice. If the user is logged in, show the voice chat button. If the user isn't, show the user button. So if we come back to our application here, and sorry, not running it. We should see the user login button. Was already logged in. Sorry. I think I was already logged in. Actually, let me just show the button here. Okay, so I was already logged in, so let me just log out. Okay. Cool, so now you've got a basic sign-in button. And if I click sign in here, it's going to take me in. And I'm logged in, but why am I not seeing this voice chat button? Oh, it is there. Okay, cool. So now we'll be able to talk to our specific endpoint. So if I click start chat there, it is connecting. But we haven't proven that we've protected that endpoint, right? So we haven't proved that that endpoint is actually protected by Civic. So what we can do is just say, can you create me a curl command that proves the following API endpoint is protected? Stop talking to me. Okay, so let's just run here. And it's going to generate a curl command to show that that endpoint is protected. Then I'm going to remove the middleware to show you that by not having the middleware there in specifically, that route isn't going to protect it. So let's run this. Yeah. It is actually the route is / no man / API / connect. Hey, you should have picked that up. Okay. So let me comment. That's a GET request. It's a GET request. And I can also show you that manually by just having this button there. I don't know what's happening there. Okay, so if I just yeah, so you can see it's returning back a 307 temporary redirect, which means that that route is protected. So if we go here, it's back to our middleware, and we remove this catch-all here, and then we run this again in a new terminal, you'll see it should return back. Just want to make sure it's returning back a 307. Okay. Was it a post request again? Oh, it is a post request. Silly me. and you can say return success true. So if I have this in there, that route will be protected. But what also we can do is, if you don't want to use that, you can just do API connect and protect those manually, but it's up to you how you want to do that. Okay, cool. So now that both those routes are protected, so that's awesome. That's pretty cool. Now we've been able to set up a conversational AI agent that is protected by Civic Auth, and it is basically going to an API endpoint to get a session-based token, retrieving that session-based token, and allowing the user to talk directly to the OpenAI servers on your front end. So we can make this like a little bit better. Let's just kind of show the AI that. Let's take a screenshot of this and say that. Let's see. I am giving a live demo right now. I am not a fan of the design. Please, let's just say you are a UI/UX expert. How would you improve this design and flow for the user? Let's come up with a plan first. So we don't want it to go and start generating the code right away. Let's just kind of talk to the LM and come up with a plan and talk to it and see what it comes up with. I'll generally just accept. But like, one of the things I love about this sort of design is it's like, you're kind of letting the LLM giving it freedom in order to create and do what it needs to do. And sometimes it's not always what you expected, but sometimes it surprises you, and the design is actually really, really cool. So yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Something minimal. I like just black and white. Okay, I like a minimal design that's just black and white. So let's just see how it goes ahead and does that for us. But in the meantime, I don't know if there are any questions we can answer in the meantime because I'm going to be speaking to the LLM, and I can also answer questions. I don't know if there's any questions you have.
No questions right now. I do have a couple of questions for you though.
Sure.
I know that like Civic does like Web 2 and Web 3 authentication. Like what do you think the primary sort of advantage would be to using Civic versus like another type of authentication tool?
I must say that the one thing we have focused in from the beginning is to make the developer experience as seamless as possible. So removing a lot of the overhead, but if the developers do want to go deep, they can. But the API has been, it's really, I find it really intuitive, nice to use, simple to set up. Like Auth can be a headache. It can be difficult to set up. It can be difficult to rip out, and it can be difficult to add to an existing project. So the one thing that I think we've done really well at Civic is being able to think about the developer and just like not have them worry about authentication and let them focus on the actual building of their product. Like 90% of the apps are going to require Auth. You don't want the user to spend like 50% of their idea building out the app on authentication. You want it to be 5 minutes and then to get out their way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. And as far as like SDKs that you currently have available, like yeah, which ones do you think are the best to use? I know a lot of the folks that participate at hackathons through MLH are typically using Python and JavaScript, but for this type of thing, they would probably utilize, like if they were to code their own solution, would be maybe like Java or something like
So this is Next.js is written in TypeScript. So we support React, Next.js, vanilla JavaScript, so without any, it's framework agnostic. And then if users are just trying to authenticate using just the backend service, we offer support for Node, Express, Hono, Fastify, and then like you mentioned for Python as well. We've also got support for React Native, so users can specifically focus on that, and we're always adding more. But to answer your question, yeah, mainly focusing on TypeScript and Python.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, so let's go back.
Yeah, let you get back to it.
App. So it came up with a cool design. That's way too simple. Like, let's just say, let's get creative. Let's get creative. One thing I do like to do is, and if people are vibe coding, they're trying to brainstorm ideas, is go to this website, or awards.com. And there's really cool inspiration that you can get from websites here. So if we go to, let's just explore. I found a really cool one the other day. I like minimal, so let's try this here. And then like you can just take screenshots of specific things that you like. Maybe there's a font you like. Maybe there is the layout that you specifically like. There's various things that you can just take through. So like this one isn't really something that I do like. Let's just pick something. This is quite cool. I mean, let's see how the LLM, if we give it the screenshot, how it will do. And obviously, we're just kind of letting it go free and write the code it wants to. But if you're writing a real application, you want to make sure that the code that it's outputting is correct, it's well structured, it's maintainable. But I think during like an initial phase, if you're just trying to ideate, if you're just trying to like explore, like this is the best process of going about doing it, is just going and finding inspiration from different websites. Going to Dribble is also a great one to go to if you're trying to look for components that you're inspired by. So like if you come to chat, you can get inspired by a lot of these designs and take screenshots and have the LLM like generate something similar and work with it there. And it's really cool. Like you can start really ideating really quickly with these LLMs, and then bring them into your application, and then make sure the code is structured well, add authentication. And that's one thing we're going to be working on pretty soon, is the ability for you not to even have to go through each of these steps, but just take a single prompt, paste it into the LLM, and it will do everything for you. We're just experimenting to make sure that it does do it correctly and securely. And if there's any discrepancies there, then obviously we need to fix our docs. But yeah, so let's just see where it's looking at the moment. Okay, cool. It's all right. I mean, it's not great, but you get the idea. I just want to go back to the chat and just share my tab so you can hear it speaking to me instead. So let me just share screen. So share tab audio. What was it? Yeah. Okay. So if I click start chat now.
Hi there. How can I assist you today?
Hey, you are an agent that is talking to a live audience. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm your AI host, here to entertain, enlighten, and engage. Whether it's answering...
Can you guys hear that? Did you hear the agent speaking back?
Yeah, we're hearing it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you kind of get the idea, and the latency is great. You can have a full-on conversation and build a conversational agent really quickly. We've got the example code up there, so you can experiment, try new ideas, work with LLMs, work with AI, do things that are not even related to that Web3, Web Auth. And then, like I mentioned, you can also come to our docs, and if you're keen to build your own MCP server and explore the MCP in general, the guys at the labs are doing some really interesting and cool stuff. I would really suggest you go out there and just read some of this docs, just even to learn about it. If you're not familiar about it, like what are the problems in the auth space? What are the problems with MCP? What are we trying to solve? Why is OAuth not enough in order to secure an MCP server? What do you have to put in place? Because you think about an LLM, it's non-deterministic, and it can go out and do things that you don't want to. Like we just saw a little brief example of it happening in Cursor, where it goes and creates things in the wrong place, or it might do something to your database. So you want to kind of rein it in, and that's kind of the problems that we are solving as well. That's it. What do we? We've got 19 minutes.
That was awesome. Honestly, I love the voice feature on the chat app that you built out as well. I know some folks here are like typically showing some love to Civic. We have one user tried Civic today and kind of loved it. We got another one. Kushal writes, Civic looks cool and it feels easy to customize the auth pop-up. Also, the process of implementation is quite simpler. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, what do you think some of the main like value adds of the Civic platform will be for folks that are like, building at hackathons or working on school projects? Anything you could say to kind of, I don't know, inspire folks to start using it at home?
Do you want to take that, JP?
Yeah, I think the main thing is auth needs to be one of those things that gets out of the way. So whenever you're looking for an auth solution, it has to be one that you set it up once, you don't have to worry about it anymore, and you focus on what's important, which is your app, what that app is about and whatnot. So that's what we are going for here with Civic Auth. How do you make it so simple, straightforward, and transparent that you kind of forget about it? But we want to make sure that you are comfortable with everything, that it's secure. You don't have to worry about any of the DevOps or whatnot. But I would say make sure that look at those different pieces, and can you find a platform that enables you to do that?
Yeah, totally. Another follow-up question there. What do you think I know, like, I think one of the primary distinctions that Civic has in terms of like other like similar platforms is that it functions both on the Web 2 and Web 3 in both Web 2 and Web 3 spaces. What do you think the advantage of having decentralized authentication and authorization is?
Well, I think one of the benefits is it doesn't matter what type of application you're building, you can welcome any kind of user. So if you're building a Web 2 app, right, traditional application, and if you really think about it, a lot of this new Web 3 native users would like to use their crypto wallets as their identity, right? So why not enable that? So you can bring in, and you can get people also more comfortable too, right? So if you're building a Web3 app, but you want to target a different type of audience that is not Web3 native, well, having the ability to get those embedded wallets into your application without having the user to create a wallet and whatnot. So all those pieces together give you a nice way to thread in Web 2, Web 3, not only users, but also backends and type of experiences. Because there's different things that you can build with Web 3 too. So just this day and age where a lot of these things are coming together, and you guys saw everything that you can do with AI today. Now AI is going to be able to start doing a lot of this payment processing behind the scenes, or connecting with other AIs behind the scenes. Those are going to require payment sometimes. So if you start thinking about building for the future and future-proofing your application, your auth solution should be also thought through in that way. And I think that's one of the beauties about Civic Auth is, our experience is in Web3, yes, but I've been building products since the early 2000s, right? Back in the day, I was a product manager for the Yahoo homepage. So for all old school people that ever use Yahoo.com, I've been building products for a little while nowadays.
I think one thing also to say into that is that, like, we've been in the Web3 space for a long time, and the user experience this is not great. Like, especially for non-crypto users who want to kind of get into the space, like going in and set up MetaMask or setting up Phantom it's not that intuitive. So having us create the wallet behind the scenes for the user, and then being able to natively process payments and interact with the ecosystem, I think that's like really, really important. Because I feel like that's why we haven't seen an influx of users into that space, because of the UI and the UX. So if we can try solve a piece of that puzzle, it's really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. I know dealing with both Web 2 and Web 3 companies, and like trying to operate in similar spaces, I've seen some of the same conflicts there as well, and I'm sure folks at hackathons have seen it themselves, trying to build with new Web 3 technologies that they've never touched before. This seems like a really nice place to kind of start if you are looking to build applications that support a wider breadth of users. That being said, we do have another question from Raz0x1 here. How did you come up with a different strategy like 15K active users instead of common plans?
Well, not exactly sure what I guess the common plans, like the free starter plan,
Yeah.
and like maybe those three. We wanted to keep it super simple, right, and make it affordable and enable developers to really get. So I guess we're seeing this next generation of developers, right, that are vibe coding. So we're going to see a lot of apps. So we wanted to make it super easy to anybody to just come in, use it, don't have to worry about cost, try their ideas, go out there. Once you hit 15,000 MAUs, we wanted to say, okay, that seems to be like a good number based on some of the research that we were doing. And then after that, we grow with you. So the idea is that from that perspective, it's very much grow with you type of model. And the other question is, why should I use Civic instead of other auth providers? Well, if we haven't convinced you yet, I think a lot of we have built an auth server for modern applications, right? So everything has been built from scratch. There's no legacy code that we have to fix or improve or do. From a platform support perspective, we are continuously growing the different applications that we have been supporting, or the different frameworks that we've been supporting. I think that other auth providers are going to be very similar. I think our go-to-market, working with developers hand in hand, being here, making us available. You're going to see that we're going to be opening up Slack channels. You can find us very easily. So the developer experience that we're focusing on should also be top-notch.
Yeah, maybe I can also add in there is that, I mean, we aren't obviously first to the game. You've got Auth0, you've got Privy, you've got Clerk, you've got a few other ones that have been around for a long time. But I think what we've done is we've taken the pain points that developers mostly have with those, and we've tried to remove them and make the developer experience as easy as possible and secure as possible as well. So I think that and also adding features that we believe that users actually want, and not overcomplicating the product. We really wanted, and I think we also came in during a time where there is a lot of developers that are coming in that are not necessarily technical. They are just want to ideate. They just want to get they want to get an app up and running, and they want to do it as quickly and as simply as possible, focusing on their idea. So we want to build Civic in such a way that it is easy for anyone to be able to do auth, and that does so very securely, very fast. The user experience is great, and it kind of gets out of your way. So we are focusing a lot also on people that are coming new into the space, like you talk about vibe coders, and also the traditional technical developers that need to do things that are more custom and tailored to themselves. But you'll notice that the API is very, very simple. Dan, our CTO, stresses that often, that he just really wants the API to be extremely simple and easy for developers, but also we don't want to take away from the fact that you aren't able to do certain things. So the configuration is also quite elaborate, and you guys can dig into the docs to do that. But yeah, like to JP's point, we really wanted to make it as simple as possible. And if you're running into issues with Civic Auth, then obviously that's on us. But that's the one thing that we want to eliminate from people that are working with our product.
Absolutely. We've got one other follow-up question here. What do you think will be the future of auth in the AI domain?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's a $1 million question, I think. And I think it's something we're still trying to solve right now. And I'd really encourage you to go read our documentation on the labs and what the teams are doing there. But it's definitely needs to be something that's built on top of OAuth, because you basically certain permissions you need to be able to build stuff and set in place that is going to not allow the LLM to do certain things. For example, like say you give the LLM access to reading your email. Do you want it to read all your email? Do you want to read it on a certain label? Do you want it to only read the last week of emails? And OAuth doesn't give you that flexibility. So we need to rethink in the space. Like we really need to be able to figure out exactly how we're going to guide the space and contribute to specs like the MCP spec and what people are doing in this domain. But to answer the user's question, I don't think anyone knows. Like we need to really try to figure this out and try to solve those problems. I don't know, JP, what do you think?
So I agree. I think there's a couple of additional thoughts I have, right? As you say, you need to also think about authorization, right? Authentication is not going to be enough. So the auth domain that we know it, right? It's more about also verifying. So you can trust, but you need to verify and make sure that the AI is doing what it needs to do. But I think AIs will need to have their own identity too, right? And their own authentication models where they can easily do things on their own, because AIs are going to become more and more independent too, and not just be doing stuff that we tell them to do. They're going to be acting on their own also. So as those type of actions start to proliferate, Auth is going to have to support those type of things too. So how do you then support a world where AI systems and agents have to be able to go complete actions for themselves or on behalf of users? So the lines between authentication of AI agents with humans are going to start blending. So systems will need to be able to identify, am I dealing with an AI or am I dealing with a human? And it's not a bad thing if you're dealing with one or the other. I'm not saying AI is bad at all. But you need to know, because actually you could do, or you could communicate with the AI agent in a different way, in a much more efficient way. Let's just be real, right? Language is not as efficient as just bits and bytes sounds that two AI agents could communicate in. So I think there's a lot of these pieces that we're going to start to bring together. As I was saying, we'll see what's going to be happening, but Auth is going to be at the center of this exchange of value is like the way that I like to see it.
You're really well put. Yeah, I think with the incoming prevalence of AI usage, I think it's definitely something that we should be discussing. So thanks for the question there, Roz. I guess last follow-up question here, like using another AI to identify whether it's a human or an AI. Yes, and I think that's
it's like that Spider-Man meme, right?
Exactly.
Remember that Spider-Man meme with the 5 Spider-Mans and the Spider-Man in the middle? Exactly. That's exactly right. That's how I see it.
I know you mentioned authorization and authentication. Just for the folks at home, I know there are some folks that are a little bit beginner level there listening in. Could you just briefly discuss what the difference is between authentication and authorization and how Civic Auth kind of handles both of those things?
Yeah, so I'd like to just use a very simple example of getting into a house, right, or getting into a hotel. You're authorized. You in order to get to a hotel, that's just one step, right? You say, okay, I'm going to authenticate myself to get into the hotel. But once you're in the hotel, you may have only access to one room. So that's your authorization, right? So that's the very simple way to see the difference between those two. So once you get into the house or the hotel, what do you have access to when you are inside the hotel? So as we are building the platform, right, the idea is to start adding this capabilities for role-based access controls and whatnot. So we are building towards it. We support a bunch of those right away. You can build your own, but the idea is to evolve the platform to add much more support to those capabilities.
Yeah, maybe I can also build on that. That's one thing that you're trying to see being solved in the space right now is the whole authorization. Is like the concept of human in the loop. When an agent or an AI needs to do something, it asks you first before it can do it. And you need to streamline that process, because what is too much, what is too little? You don't want it to ask you every time it does something, but at the same time, you don't want to give it free reign and control. So there needs to be this balance that people walk out, and we don't know what that is exactly yet, but that's something we're trying to solve.
Thank you very much for those thought out answers. We've got one last comment in here. I think this will be the last one we have time for. Roz, once again, an MIT study says ChatGPT might be weakening critical thinking skills. Do you see this as a real risk or just part of how we adapt to new technology? Not necessarily auth related, but I think apropos to the conversation.
There was actually a really good post that was opposed to this. And it was basically saying, yes, you can use ChatGPT to offload work. Like we do that with everything, right? You like use a forklift in order to pick up a box or do something else to do something. But like you're getting it to offload certain aspects of your critical thinking in order to focus on other parts. And we don't know exactly what those other parts are yet. Yes, you're always going to get people who are going to be saying to the AI, listen, can you solve my homework for me? Or can you write this paper for me? But maybe it can just ideate on those things and then you focus on other things. So like you talk about creative block, writer's block. And yes, people who use the AI in order to do stuff for them, they're going to obviously have less critical thinking skills, right? But it's really up to the individual to say like, okay, what can I focus on that I really want to focus on? And yeah, I could see it being a problem because people are generally lazy and they do want to ask something to remove the friction in order to focus on something else. So it could be and definitely a problem, but it might open up other doors and other avenues for us to think in different ways.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the future of AI is being leveraged by subject matter expertise and essentially utilizing the AI for those things to kind of expand and scale that person's individual expertise. But just to kind of summarize here, I know a lot of folks are going to be building on hackathon projects using Civic for those sort of things. And really, I think this comment here from 404 sort of summarizes what Civic Auth can do for you. You're not going to be spending a lot of time creating auth as you usually do. It's something that will streamline that process for you, get you up to an MVP or a quick product, something that you could actually use and then later on scale. And it's also something that is future proof because it's kind of combining a ton of different user groups and aliases that are going to be utilized in the future. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, I really want to thank you all for coming today, Tyrone and JP. Obviously, your subject matter expertise here is very much appreciated. I know the folks at home enjoyed their time. And it looks like we have one last comment from Nancy from Civic. So they're going to be hosting office hours in the Ask Civic channel and the MLH Discord right after this. If you're not on the MLH Discord, please use the link I just dropped in chat here, discord.mlh.io, and you'll be able to go in and interact with the folks that are joining us from the Civic team. With that being said, any closing comments from the two of you before we call it quits for today?
Well,
So I would say,
sorry.
So we'll just finish up, Ty, if you want. But
no, I was just going to say thank you, Racinda. You were a great host.
Yeah, and I will say, guys, please don't be strangers. Come talk to us in the Discord. Reach out to us. Send us an email. Connect with us. I'm jp@civic.com. Let's send me a message if you need something. I see when are you guys creating an MCP server? I'd say stay tuned. It's actually something that we're working on actively. We have a bunch of work on MCP servers. I would say go to docs.civic.com/labs. You'll see a ton of stuff around MCP servers that we're working on right now. So it's thank you so much. That's the link right there. And let us know what you built, is what I would say. From the dashboard on the auth.civic.com, there is a button that says request marketing, contact us, give us feedback, connect with us. We'd love to see what you're building.
Awesome. We'd love to see what you're building as well here at MLH. And thank you once again to the folks from Civic Auth. We are going to be rolling right into today in Global Hack Week. So please stay locked in to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MLH. And until next time, we will see you then. All right.
Thank you.
You guys. Bye-bye.
Amazing.
Bye, folks.